la la la. La 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 la.
Kilah? Kilah! Where are you?
Erika, I'm here. Why?
Oh, there you are. Come on. Our show is about to start.
Okay, I'm coming.
A wonderful and exciting day to all our Sci peeps. My name is Erika.
And I am Kilah, and we are your psychics for today. Today, we'll be digging how phylogeny helps us in the world of science.
And how it benefits us in solving problems in our society.
But Erika, what is phylogeny?
Phylogeny is the study of relationships among different groups of organisms and their evolutionary development.
Whoa! This branch of science is really interesting. But how does it really help us? Story time! Phylogeny is useful in medical field. Through phylogeny, we can learn about the origin of diseases, especially the contagious one. We can also look for disease resistance mechanisms in other hosts to find therapy and treatment for humans. This branch of science is able to understand the details of a flu evolution that can help scientists to predict what flu strain will be coming next. Actually, there was a case in the late 1900s that was really astonishing. They predict the future to make next year's vaccine. This case was made by Walter Fitch, Robin Bush, and their co-workers. They produced a phylogeny of viruses from 1984 to 1996 using DNA from frozen viral samples. They used the sequence of H gene to create such a tree for H3N2 group of influenza that is currently affecting humans. And for your information, H3N2 is a virus that can cause influenza and affect birds and mammals. And H gene is a gene that is important in blood processes. So when they used the sequence of H gene to create a phylogenetic tree for H3N2 influenza virus, they saw something. It showed a non-random pattern of which flu strain from each year would become the dominant strain in the next year. But how are they able to predict which flu strain would arise in the next year with the help of phylogenetic tree? They test and observe. With 12 years of data in this study, Fitch and others continue to test predictions. First, they look at flu RNA sequences in 1985, then investigate what could they use to predict what flu strain will be dominant in 1986. As the time went by, for example, it is now 1987, then Fitch and others will go back to 1986 records to see if their predictions were right. They did these methods from more than 10 times for the following years to ensure credibility, then boom, they were right. Indeed, they found that strains with amino acid changes at hemagglutinin sites tended to become the dominant strain next year. And all of this are possible thanks to phylogeny.
Phylogeny is used to trace sources of food contamination. I have an interesting case from Medical Detectives. Medical Detectives, or Forensic Files, is an American series that documents criminal cases and how they were solved through forensic science. In episode 8 of season 7, it featured a bioterrorist attack that happened in the state of Oregon in the United States. Using phylogeny, scientists were able to figure out the cause of the attack and trace where it came from. On September 25th, 1984, the majority of the residents of the Dallas town experienced diarrhea and vomiting. According to microbiologists, the main cause is a bacteria called salmonella. Salmonella is commonly found in eggs, meat, poultry, dairy, water, and animal feces. In this case, all who were infected by salmonella claimed that they had eaten potato salad from local restaurants. The local office declared that the salmonella outbreak was a result of improper food handling by the restaurant workers. But investigators did not close the case yet because the source of the outbreak was still unknown. The evidence was insufficient as hundreds of people were affected and authorities could not find a common source. These sick people had not eaten in the same restaurant. These restaurants do not even have the same food suppliers, and the town's local water supply had no traces of salmonella. So, the investigators suspected that the salmonella poisoning was intentional and not accidental. By this, detectives hired epidemiologists or scientists who study disease control to look into the suspicious case. After a series of tests, they found out that the same strain or variant of salmonella was consistently present in all of the 751 reported victims. Plasmid profiling, a technique involved in phylogenetic analysis, was conducted to identify the characteristics of the salmonella strain. Plasmid profiling helps examine the plasmids, which are the genetic material of the bacterial chromosome. These plasmids can be compared with other bacteria, and if their plasmid profiles match, then we could safely conclude that the bacteria are related or similar strains. After some time, authorities raided a clinic outside the Dallas town due to reports of illegal procedures, and they retrieved salmonella samples from the clinic. Surprisingly, the salmonella from that clinic had the same plasmid profiles to the salmonella that poisoned hundreds of residents in Dallas. Thanks to Phylogeny, the owner and the operators of the clinic were arrested for mass murder by biological warfare and were held responsible for causing the incident.
And that wraps up our story time.
Today, we've learned the importance of phylogeny, particularly in the development of flu vaccines and in tracing the sources of food contamination.
And this provided a great contribution to the advancement of science. As we can see, people benefit a lot from phylogeny.
Absolutely! Phylogeny plays an essential role to people's health and safety. Just like in the examples we shared, it is used to study microorganisms for disease dispersal, control, and prevention.
That's right! We hope that you, our sci-tips, are just amazed as we are. This has been Kilah
and Erika,
your
your
psychics
psychics for today. Bye!